Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to No Man's Land here in Farming Simulator 19 with me, cwattyeso. We're about to do some more harvesting as part of the precision harvest tests. We've got a couple of fields. We've got one field to harvest, our wheat field. For those of you that caught the last video, you will know that when we harvested field 25, we got some interesting... Oh, sorry, when we harvested field 27, field 25 is the one I'm about to do. But when we harvested field 27, we obviously got some interesting yield data off of that field, based on the fact that I had pretty much over-fertilised most of that field for the crop that was growing on it. So we're going to see if we get a better yield off field 25, which has actually been seeded and fertilised correctly. So let's not waste any time. Let's get into the field. Obviously, we've just got wheat planted at the minute. I still haven't been able to test my cotton mod thing. Changes to that because I haven't yet got a planter that can do cotton. I haven't been able to do like corn or sunflowers or any of that type of stuff either, because we don't have a planter on this map yet. I'm probably going to buy one. That's probably going to be my next purchase, get a planter so I can actually do some of the other crops and do a bit of a test with how they behave. And like I say, I need to test some changes I've made to the cotton mod pack thing to see if the bales are a little bit easier to handle with that mod. But yes, another couple of days have passed on the farm since you were last here. I've just basically sped up time. I've not done anything off of camera in terms of any kind of work. I've not done anything with field, with the field over there. Not touched it. So, not fertilised it or anything after the harvest period. As I say, I'm probably going to get a planter and just replant it straight away. We may have, like I say, may have too much nitrogen in the soil. Whereas already I can see from the mini-map that this field is definitely yielding a lot better. We're already getting a nice green yield, which is what we want to see ultimately at the end of the day. Because as I was saying in my in the previous video, the impact on yield with precision farming is quite significant. If you don't get it right, you are going to be losing crop. And obviously, as I also explained in the previous video, there's a problem with contracts on maps, whereby if you are running the precision farming mod and try to do a harvest contract, you cannot complete it, because the fact that the AI farmers don't lime and fertilise their fields means you're not going to get, you won't get the yield needed to complete the contract. And a lot of people are reporting this over on Giants forums as being a bug. I don't know whether there'll be a fix for that anytime soon from Giants, whether it's on their priorities. It's obviously something that they're going to have to change in the base game to do with the tolerances on contracts, for what percentage of a field you must harvest, and then what percentage of a, what amount of crop you must deliver to complete a contract. Because harvest contracts are weird compared to all the other contracts in the game. Harvest contracts are weird because they're made up of two elements. They're made up of the harvesting element and then the crop delivery element. You don't have to, in the base game without any mods, you do not have to completely harvest a field to be able to complete a harvest contract. Nor do you need to sell 100% of the crop to complete a harvest contract. Okay? There are tolerances built in. Because oftentimes, if you've ever been watching, like I say, if you've been watching me playing on the server, you've been watching me doing any of my live streams, there are lots of times when we've done harvest contracts where we've managed to complete the contract without delivering, you know, several trailers worth of crop. You know, we've ended up with like several full trailers of crop to take back to our farm because it's not been needed. We haven't had to deliver it to complete the contract. Contracts have a certain amount that they're expecting. The problem is that with precision farming, the contract, you cannot hit those those amounts due to the huge negativity. So nitrogen is okay. It's not great, but the nitrogen levels were okay on this field, it says. I can't remember if I sprayed during growth or not. Now, I don't necessarily remember. But again, we'll also be able to see from these two harvests which soil type as well is better for farmers. Which soil type is going to give you the best yield, because again, that could determine for some people what fields they buy in a game. If you're starting up a new save on a new map, you might decide before you start buying fields you want to get a soil sample taken of the fields, so you can make a more educated decision on which fields you want to buy, because you might decide you want to buy fields with only a certain soil type. It's going to be more beneficial in terms of yield. You know, if you've got fields with, you know, bad soil, you might want to avoid them. So we'll have a look after we've done the harvest to see which soil types on the two fields that we've harvested have given us the better yield. Because we would probably want to then ideally look at getting fields with that soil type. And again, for map makers, people actually making maps, if there's a certain soil type that obviously gives you a better yield than others, there might be some map makers who just decide to do the whole map in that soil type and basically make an easy mode map for people, you know. Only paint one soil type on the whole map, the one that gives you the best bang for your buck, if you like. I could see some authors doing that, definitely. But yes, as I sit and record this this video currently on Tuesday the 15th of December, we are in a position whereby I am currently uploading the previous video in the series to YouTube, which will go live on the channel at about 4 o'clock this afternoon. I know it's a bit later than my usual upload schedule, but you know, I haven't actually got the videos recorded because, like I say, I have been spending a lot of time over the last few days playing Cyberpunk. Been having a bit of a break as the holiday season is definitely upon us as we head towards Christmas, and I've been taking a bit of a break from work, from video YouTubing and twitching, and just been playing a game and having some fun. I have done a few Cyberpunk streams, but I don't plan on putting any of the Cyberpunk videos on the channel because Google and YouTube analytics tell me that the minute I try to play any game that isn't farm sim, people don't watch. It seems like the majority of my subscribers now on the channel and the majority of viewers on my channel are only here to watch me play farm sim. They don't watch my other videos, so there's very little point me putting a video on the channel that nobody is going to watch. And also, I noticed when I've watched the streams back, when I've been watching the streams back of the Cyberpunk, quality's not that great. There's a lot of stutter in the video, and I've seen this happening a lot to a lot of people who are trying to stream the game, and I think it's entirely down to the performance issues that that game has currently at launch. Even on PC, it's using a heck of a lot of CPU, that game. Heck of a lot of CPU. And when I'm streaming on Twitch, I use CPU encoding because it's supposed to be better for streaming. Whereas when I'm recording videos like I am now for YouTube, I use GPU encoding. I let my graphics card do all the video encoding because there's plenty of headroom on my graphics card. As I explained in the last video, my graphic card is only currently at 26% utilization, and I'm playing a game and recording it at the same time, and I'm only using 26% of my graphics card's capability. My CPU is sitting nicely down at 19% because I'm not using the CPU much at all at the minute. Now when I'm streaming, it's a different kettle of fish. My CPU usage is normally up at around about 56%, 60%, because it's doing the encoding and stuff. So I'm wondering, for a game like Cyberpunk, whether I need to, when I'm streaming, whether I need to switch it over. I should switch my stream encoding over to GPU as well. But a weird thing I did notice when I was streaming Cyberpunk most recently was that the GPU in that game sometimes gets very much sort of 99%, 100%. So it seems like it's just terribly optimized. Because I'm surprised it's using that much GPU as well. I mean, admittedly, I don't have the greatest GPU in the world. I'm running an NVIDIA GTX 1070. I'm quite a bit behind in terms of graphics card technology. Compared to everything else in my PC, the graphics card is probably now the bottleneck in my system, and I really do need a new graphics card. However, you just can't get your hands on any. I was trying to find a 2080. I was trying to get a 2080 Ti because I figured I could plug a 2080 Ti into my current system, no problem at all. Yes, I know they're expensive. Yes, I know they're not as good as the new 3000 series graphics cards. But the advantage of plugging a 2080 Ti into my system would be I don't need to change anything else in my system. I can just take the existing graphics card out, plug in the new one, and job done. Major upgrade. And performance gains. Whereas if I get one of the new graphics cards, either the NVIDIA 3000 series, either a 3060 Ti, 3070, a 3080 or a 3090, or even if I went with one of the new offerings from AMD, which is supposed to be all singing and all dancing, I've got to upgrade my power supply as well, because the power supply in my PC will not cut it. I've got a 650 watt power supply, and that isn't going to work with the new graphics card technology. If I need 750 watts minimum to run one of the new Nvidia cards, and I need 850 watts minimum to run one of the new AMD cards. I don't know if anybody's noticed this, but a lot of people have been raving about the AMD cards and how they match up with the Nvidia 3080s and stuff like that. I wonder if anyone's actually looked closely and realised that they require 100 watts more to deliver the same performance. And also, they only seem to deliver the same performance if you're pairing them in a system that runs an AMD processor. So I would fully expect, for me, rocking a Intel processor in my PC, that if I got an AMD graphics card, I would not benefit. I would not get the same performance from it compared to if I put like a 3080 in my system. But it's going to be a while, because obviously the way stocks are at the minute in the world, there's just no one getting their hands on these graphics cards apart from scalpers and bots. And I'm not paying overly inflated scalper prices. It's the same with the people trying to get hold of PlayStation 5s and the new Xboxes and stuff. The only people who are buying those are the scalpers and the bots. And the poor old genuine customers are then getting ripped off by having to pay much higher prices than on like eBay and stuff to buy these flipping consoles that basically have just been snapped up for resale at a profit. So I can't imagine I will be getting a new graphics card for my PC until well into 2021. Well into 2021. And it may be if I wait a couple of months and I'm in that position, you know, especially with the fact that my birthday is fairly early in the year. My birthday's in April, as anyone who has followed this channel for a long period will know, especially those of you that tuned into my birthday live stream this year that I did, where I streamed for like 16 hours, spent the whole of my birthday streaming, which means obviously I get quite a nice bonus early on in the year, because obviously all my family and that tend to obviously send me money for my birthday, so I end up with quite a bit of a cash injection in April. Which means you never know, might be in the position whereby maybe next year I look at actually getting a new PC, one that's already got a, you know, graphics card in it, new graphics card, new processor, a bunch of RAM, because obviously I've got two PCs under my desk at the minute. I've got the gaming PC that I'm playing on now, I'm recording on, and then I've got my old rig that I used to game on, used to record on, which I haven't used for ages now, ages and ages and ages. So what I'm thinking of doing, I mean, what I could do with that PC as well, I could basically reformat that, completely reformat that PC, and I could sell that, because that's got a good graphics card in it. And it's got a good processor. It's got an i7. You know, get 100 quid for it, 200 quid for it, you know. Obviously not going to sell it for much, but it might make a nice little entry system for somebody who just wants a, you know, good PC. Or a good platform that they could then maybe upgrade on as well, because it's upgradable, definitely be upgradable, that PC. And maybe look at getting a new PC next year, custom built. There are a lot of companies now that will build PCs for you to spec. I don't think I'd build my own again. the current gaming PC I've got, it gave me enough trouble. It took me a week to get it fully assembled and up and running when I built it, because unfortunately, with obviously my disabilities now following my accident, I'm not the man I used to be. You know, and unfortunately, you know, despite what they say in the TV shows and movies, they didn't have the technology to rebuild me. So I have been left severely impaired following my accident for the rest of my life, which means, unfortunately, building a PC is something that's probably just a little bit out of my control again. The mind is willing, don't get me wrong, the mind is still fully capable. You know, there's nothing wrong with my mind. Unfortunately, the body doesn't perform anymore. The body can't do what the mind wants it to do, and that's the problem I've got. So what I'll probably do is get someone, whether it's either Scan or maybe PC Specialist, one of those companies. I might get one of them to custom build me a PC next year, a new one. Depends on the graphics card situation and how quickly stock issues can get resolved. And because again, my current PC is a fantastic PC. It just needs, like I say, it just needs a graphics card upgrade, and unfortunately that means it would require a power supply upgrade too, but that's not difficult because my power supply is fully modular, so it's not like I've got to take all the cables out of my case and everything again. It's just a case of disconnect the cables from the power supply, slide the old one out, slot the new one in, and then plug the cables back in again, and plug the cables back into the power supply. It's all going well. Right, I think we're full. So we need to take this down to grain sales again. It's interesting that grain sales is the shop sales is the one that has the best price again. Agraz has been very low price the last couple of days. There's me pallet still of fertiliser. I've still got some pallets down at the store as well. Liquid fertiliser that I bought when I bought my sprayers. When I bought my sprayer. So I'll eventually get them shifted and get them consumed. But apart from that, it's going well. But yes, we are approaching Christmas. Christmas is rapidly coming upon us. The holidays are almost here. Hope everyone's going to have a nice time. Hope people have made plans and as best they can with obviously the restrictions that are in place on everybody because of the pandemic situation that we're faced with this year. Hope people are going to have okay Christmases. I also understand that it can be a very difficult time for some people and a very challenging time. And I just want to reach out to everybody and say, you know, bear with it. You know, don't get down, don't get disheartened. Keep your chins up. You know, if you need to talk to anybody, you need to chat, feel free to drop some comments on the video. I'll happily reply to anybody and strike up a conversation with people that need to maybe just need to have a talk with somebody at this time of year. Because for some people it does get very lonely and depressing. I haven't really worked out what my schedule is going to be over the Christmas period. Normally I've done videos, you know, I've banged out videos and content galore, but I think this year I'm going to take a bit of a wind down. maybe not release videos every day over Christmas, just to give myself a bit of a break. I know at the start of this year I had a real bad spell. I had a bad spell after Christmas where I really struggled health wise. Immediately after Christmas I had a number of issues with various different things, which meant that January for me became pretty much a write-off, and a lot of February too I lost. It took me a while to get going this year, but I think this has been one of my best years ever across YouTube and Twitch. Certainly I've seen a lot of growth, YouTube growth this year, and hopefully that will continue into 2021 and beyond. It'd be very nice. Like I say, we are closing in on that 1,000 subs. We're closing in on 1,000 subs on the channel. It would be very nice to hit that, you know. And again, with the statistics that YouTube shows me, that, you know, 88.2% of people that watch my videos aren't subscribed. You know, it's just a click. Just click a button. It's not hard. It doesn't cost you a single penny. It doesn't cost you anything. You're under no obligations to do anything. Just make sure you're subscribed. Just click the subscribe button. Occasionally, give a thumbs up on a video or leave a comment. That's all you really have to do. Just you know, help the algorithm, and, you know, enable more people to discover my channel as well, which would help growth immensely. But yeah, 2020 has been a good year after a rocky start, and then after all the whole COVID and stuff as well, which has affected a lot of people. Hasn't thankfully impacted too much on me, because like I say, I was already homebound anyway, and I've all basically just carried on doing what I've been doing the last 4 years, all through this whole period. But what we'll do is we'll bring the old map up in a minute. So you can definitely see we have got better yield already on this field. We have much better yield. And I can tell as well from how many times I've had to empty the harvester. Although this field is smaller than the other field, this harvester's getting full a lot more. Little rocky bit in the middle there, look, of that field. Let's just stop the harvest. Obviously it's going to take me a little while to get this completely finished, but we can have a look at the sort of progress now. So for some reason in the middle here, doesn't really correlate to different soil, but for some reason in the middle there's a bit of a different yield. Again, looking at that, it's about 80% yield on those orangey bits. It looks to be about 100% on the majority of the field, and then the dark green. There are a couple of areas on this map where we're getting 125% yield. 125%. So we're actually getting an extra 25%. And again, go back and look at the different soil types. Does it correlate to anything? Well, loamy soil seems to be dark green. Yeah, the loam soil type seems to be the one that gives you the best yield. That's interesting. The sandy loam seems to give me better than the loamy sand. So yeah, I think you probably want to have loam. Loam is probably the soil type you really want. If you can't get loamy soil on your fields, you really then hope your fields are mostly going to be sandy loam, because at least then you're going to get close to 100% yield. And then obviously if you've got loamy sand, you're going to be taking a hit. You're going to be taking a hit to your yield by what looks to be 20% down. And again, I can't really test it because I don't have that soil type on any of these fields, but silty clay, I'm going to guess silty clay is going to be probably the absolute worst soil type. Stuff really does not like to grow in clay soil. Clay is an absolute killer. From my own personal experience of having a garden that has very clay soil, you've never been able to grow anything, any flowers or any plants in the garden because the soil's clay. You go down a couple, you've got a bit of soil on the top, but once you go down a couple of inches, it turns to clay very quickly. Our house is built on clay, which is not very good for a brick house, because obviously as the clay dries throughout the year, and then when it rains it gets wet and like moistens up again, the house moves. It causes like subsidence and stuff with the house, because the house is always moving on its foundations, as the foundations are constantly drying and then softening and then drying and then softening and drying. Yeah. So I hope these last two videos and these last couple of videos have given people a bit of an idea and an understanding of precision farming, and what differences and changes it makes to the game. Like I say, over fertilizing is just as dangerous and as bad for your fields as under fertilizing, in terms of the impact that has on your yield. And then obviously the soil type is going to be very impactful as well on your yield. I have no idea at this point in time whether certain crops prefer certain soil types, whether, you know, Giants have gone into that level of detail where certain crops benefit from having certain soil types or not, whether they have a preference. I mean, certainly from what I've seen today, it gives me a clear vision going forward that if I've got a field with a lot of loamy sand on it, it's not going to give me a very good yield. So I don't want to be putting low yielding crops. I don't want to plant low yield crops on that. For example, soybeans are a low yield crop, so you need to plant them obviously on big fields to get the most out of them. Same with like your corn, your sunflowers, all those types of crops tend to be very low yield, your canola, which is why they have the high prices in the game. So field 27 here, going by obviously just the map number that's nearest to it, would not be a candidate for those crops because there's too much loamy sand. Whereas maybe field 25, despite it being smaller, would be better to plant those soybeans because there's more of the better soil, the sandy loam and the loam. That's something to consider when you do your soil analysis. make sure you're planting the crops on the right soil types. Because if you need loads and loads of soil for your loads and loads of a certain crop, you need a certain yield of a certain crop, you probably aren't going to want to put it on a sandy loam. Oh, I'll tell you what, I'm going to have to go in this harvester mod. I don't know who made it. I don't know who makes it. It's a nice mod, don't get me wrong, it's a nice mod. I love all the features that it comes packed with, especially for those that want to play ultra hardcore and realistic with the crop, with the, you know, the way the headers can bung up if you're going too fast and things like that. But I'm going to have to go in and edit this mod because the brakes are garbage on it. The brakes are garbage, and honestly I can see a lot of issues with people doing crop destruction when they hit 100% full and go, crap, hit the brakes, and it takes 2 days for the harvester to stop moving. And they're going to end up driving a long way into their crop and doing a whole lot of crop destruction because the brakes on this thing are rubbish. So I'm going to go, I'm probably going to edit this mod myself. I'm going to go into the XML and I'm going to change the brake force. I'm going to really increase the braking and, you know, give it Formula 1 style brakes. You know, you hit the brake, boom, your head smashes against the windscreen, you know. That's the kind of braking performance I like to see. Especially on harvesters, because I don't want to do crop destruction when I get full. So when I slam on the brakes to stop, I want to stop. Apart from that, really love the mod. And like I say, the same guy who's done this mod pack also does an identical mod pack where all the vehicles are electric. So you can actually have an electric harvester. He's made all the harvesters are electric. So if you're playing with the Alpine DLC and you've got your electric tractor, you can now also make use of several electric harvesters. I have no idea how good they are in terms of how much harvesting you can do before you need to recharge them. I don't know. I don't know what, because honestly at this point in time my experience with the Alpine DLC so far has been limited to 1 day playing on that map. The day of release, that was the only time I've played on the Alpine map, and as yet I've not used any of the Alpine equipment on any other maps, despite having the DLC enabled and activated on every single save game, including the server, the multiplayer server that I run. We've not used any of the Alpine stuff. I mean, like the electric tractor, as much as I love the electric tractor and how novel it is, it's just too small. It's just too small for the maps that I play on. I mean, okay, it might have been great on this map as the starting tractor on No Man's Land instead of my 6M, but would I get rid of the 6M now and get the electric tractor? No, of course I wouldn't. But that's not to say in the future I wouldn't use it on a new map, on a new game, on a new save. Probably won't see it come to the server because obviously a few people have asked me, have been asking me as we've been playing the Snetterton series, if in the future on the next map, if I could not use DLC on the next map. Because the biggest stumbling blocks for most people, there's a lot of people that want to play multiplayer, they don't own the DLC, and if you have the DLC loaded on the map, that excludes them from playing. They can't play. So there's a lot of people that have said, look, I can't play because I don't own all the DLC, but I would love to play. If you didn't have the DLC, I would really love to play. So maybe the next map I wouldn't use the DLC. I know it's a bit of a shame, but all those players, including myself, who have paid and bought the DLC, that we don't get to use it. But if it means more players playing the multiplayer and more people being online to play with, and having a lot more fun because there's more people involved, maybe it's a compromise that has to be made. Although saying that, I hope a lot of people who don't own the DLC for Farming Simulator are adding it. With the Christmas holidays coming, and no doubt there'll be a lot of Steam, like sales on Steam, and a lot of discounts on all the stuff. Maybe you could pick up the Season Pass now for the game. I know Steam has now made the Season Pass available separately to buy, so if you already own Farm Sim on Steam, but don't own all the DLC, you can buy the Season Pass on its own now on Steam. You still can't do that via Giants, which is very disappointing. Giants still don't offer you a digital, you know, all DLC download option. This thing's still dry. I'm not even touching the brakes. This thing just does not slow down. Those vehicles, when you release the accelerator, stop. So yeah, those harvesters, I'm gonna have to go and tweak those. I'm gonna have to raise the braking force, I think. But anyway, I'm gonna whiz down to the sell point. Get rid of me crops. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and seen the differences in the fields. Obviously we've used a lot more nitrogen on this field because we only applied the exact amount that was needed for the wheat, which probably explains why we got the good yield. Whereas I say that field there, I completely over fertilized that, applied way too much nitrogen on it, and probably even the next crop is going to have way too much nitrogen. So I'm probably going to hurt the next yield as well on that field. And that's something else as well to consider. If you do over fertilize, you're not only going to potentially damage your harvest at that moment, but you could affect your next couple, because it's going to take a while for that nitrogen to be consumed by whatever you plant on that field. It might take a couple of cycles before you actually get those nitrogen levels back down. So definitely I would say over fertilizing is the big thing you want to avoid doing. If you can avoid over fertilizing with precision farming, do it. I would say under fertilizing is not as severe as over fertilizing, because you can always put more on later on as the crops are growing. You know, you can always go through and, you know, spray the crops in the first stage or second stage or third stage if you need to give them a bit of a boost. But if you over fertilize, you're screwed. You can't take it off. It's a bit like a painting. It's a bit like a painting. You can always keep adding to it and keep touching it up, but if you throw the whole tin of paint at the easel, there's no way to remove that. You know, no way to remove that. Anyway, we'll get the harvester emptied, and then it's a case of deciding, like I say, what I'm going to be planting next. I think I really need to get a planter, because obviously I want to do the cotton. I want to test the cotton mod pack, especially with the changes that I've made to it. And then I also want to try maybe soybeans over on the other field, just to see what kind of yield we get off the soil types there. Soybeans is an interesting crop as well, in the fact that soybeans actually adds nitrogen to the soil. So by planting soybeans on a field, you will actually raise your nitrogen values, or you should raise your nitrogen values. I was trying to tell you what, there's a lot. I was gonna feed this to the chickens, but I don't think the chickens are gonna eat all this. I don't think the chickens are gonna manage all of this. It might be a case of leave the trailer parked here, I think. And we'll just keep using it as they get hungry. Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. And like I say, the swivel axle, turntable steering type mod axle locker mod has been updated. I think I said that in the last video, so the trailers won't go walkabout anymore. You don't have to worry about that. They won't move when they're disconnected from the tractor. They won't move. So everyone's a winner. Right, folks. Well, we've reached the end of today's episode. I hope again it's been a very informative and educational one for you all. When we come back next time round, we will need to give some of the animals a bit of food and attention. I noticed the horses aren't consuming any straw at all. So the straw pellets issue is an issue. So I'm potentially never going to need any more straw on this map. So it might be a case of selling these bales next time round, because the straw harvest mod is just bugged at the minute. It's just bugged with the Alpine DLC. It's bugged. There's a glitch with straw pellets. So potentially something like the straw harvest mod is something that I will be removing and not using in future maps until it gets an update and a fix. But we'll then get a planter. We'll go and buy a planter, and then obviously we can get the 2 fields replanted as well, and then we can take it from there. So thank you everybody for watching today's video. Really hope you've enjoyed it. Please go ahead, click that like button for me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Leave your comments in the comment section down below, and share this video everywhere you see fit with everyone you see fit. Goodbye for now, everybody.